Greetings, Charles. Here's the demo. I said I'd be getting your way. I'm going to do a few minutes here. I just got back from a friend's place. We went out to dinner. It's probably about 9:30. I think I'm going to call it an early evening tonight. So without further ado, hopefully that smoke doesn't get in your way. This is the world so far. I'm going to show you a little bit of this, and then I'm going to run it from within the programming IDE. This is what we've got to begin with. As you can see, we've got the little fire burning in the background there, little ground. Take a little view around. I've got some pillars here, which I was running some tests on earlier. It's a fairly significant deal with those, since they are all part of one model, and yet I can move the player within their bounds. And as you can see, as we're moving here, you can see the player is adjusting to the terrain. And you can see the terrain is not flat. We are not in flatland. We have a low end over here, a high end over there. We'll take a little perspective shot. Alright, what I'm going to show you is all of these the pillars in the background here are all part of one model, but they are individually collidable, which means that the player can move within their circumference. So basically what this simulates, and what I was trying to get at with this, would be overhangs or awnings or even caves enterable from the outside. As you can see, I can move into the center and spin the player around so gracefully, back up through there, and yet move around, and I can move no further than the pillar. As you can see, pretty nice, huh? So now, depending on whatever we want to do with that, you can have different effects, whether it's a door or a chest or a decomposing body that you want to get the goods from. You can do that. Let's take a look at the fire bowl, or what I'm calling the fire font. As you can see, it consists of a bowl and one piece of coal in the center. The significant deal with this was actually attaching the fire to the coal. As you can see, it's actually coming up around the shape of the coal or wick or what have you in the center, the purple sphere, mind you. And of course, that's the newer part of this. That's what I worked on late this past week. And as you can see, we have L monolith here, which I was going to try to get a particle effect onto it, some kind of like yellow, glitzy, golden seeding beneath the surface when the player bumps into it. However, I did not get that far because I spent free time this weekend dealing with model animation, which I'll show you in just a second. Made a fairly significant breakthrough with that yesterday, and I'll get on to showing you that in a second. And as you can see, all of these objects are collidable, meaning that I run into them and can go no further. Pretty cool, huh? Alright, well, that shows you about the state of things right now for this 2-week span of... Ooh, that was exciting. What was that? I think that was just basically... Let's see if we can do that again. I guess that was basically... Well, anyway, it's basically... got stuck. Alright, so, anyway, this is Roxy, and now I'm going to show you some tricks that I am doing with Roxy. Alright, so we'll get out of this, and we'll move over to Blender. Ta-da! Okay, so this is the model of Roxy, and this is what that's what I want to do. This is going to be the first animation of that, because as you can see in the demo that I just showed you, she's pretty much static. She moves and all that, but she doesn't walk or run or do anything interesting. You know, like breathe when she's just standing there or tapping her foot or whatever. So basically what we've got here is her model, and this is her in a pose, but I'm going to put her at rest. As you can see, this structure within is what they call the armature, and the entire structure is called a rigging. So I've rigged an armature. The significant piece of this is attaching the armature to the mesh, which I spent, probably a couple hours, 3 hours yesterday going through Blender tutorials and trying to figure out how to do that, because none of them were very clear, and then I had an epiphany and was able to do it. The Blender tutorials are a little bit do this, do this, do this, do this, without any like explanation of why you're doing this, and some of the stuff is kind of backwards, so it takes some deciphering. So, let's see. So anyway, this is the armature, and this is the mesh. So anyway, I've got a couple of cameras set up on this. I was putting her into some poses earlier. As you can see, I was doing kind of like a star pose that kind of like worked into the sign of Mulier, I believe. And I actually started off with the pentagram position, and I thought about messing with her back, bent her back a little bit. So anyway, without further ado, let's get a render from camera 0. And you can see what this looks like in action. We'll render that baby out. And as you can see, this is Roxy at rest. This is what the model looks like, just without any armature activity applied to her. We're going to go ahead and take her off of rest, put her into pose mode, get her out of rest, and we can see that she's in this position. Take a brief spin around her. Alright, I just noticed something. Let's see here. I have a detached bone. Actually, I'm going to connect her back. Okay. Alright. So anyway. So we're going to grab a render of this. And as you can see, that pose translates into this. And of course she's rather shiny at this point, but that's just because of the material that I'm using on her. We're going to switch over to camera number 2, and we'll see what that looks like from the side. So basically, what this proves at this point is that this is how you make the keyframes for animation. So basically what you do is you create these poses and you keyframe them, meaning that you create like the flipbook pattern, allowing the computer to fill in the spaces of time that it can and and manually correcting those that it can't, so that you create walking and running and all of that other fun stuff. We'll go ahead and bend her back up straight so we can bend her over this way. And of course I've still got a few problems with the mesh here. As you can see, this is kind of a tight area in here, and that's just because I didn't weight paint. I didn't weight the vertices correctly. I'm not that detailed with my work as yet, but that is coming along. Let's see, she's in a rather compromising position here at this point. Let's see if we can make that even more compromising, just for the hell of it. Oh yeah, baby. We'll grab a render job of that. Send you with the smile. Maybe this won't be work safe after all. Yeah, Roxy. Anyway, that might come into play with the old evolution points in the Monolith World game. Maybe you have to do something of that nature. I don't know. Let's see. We'll rotate her back up, and let's see. She's kind of tilted. So basically, you just have to kind of play around with it. Notice the correct skeletal structure of the femurs at the slight angle from the hip to the knee. Slight inward angle. Let's see here. We'll give her a muscle posture, I suppose. Whoops, I don't want to go that way. We want to take her, let's see. Go out that way with it. We'll go out that way with her. So you basically just have to mess around with it, get your bearings. Let's see, we'll give her the muscle posture, I guess. We'll give her a muscle posture. How about that? Roar. Roar. Again, you can see that there's some problems with the mesh itself because I didn't manually connect the vertices in varying weights to the joints, to the hinges as they're called. So that creates its own little problem with the mesh. And of course, she doesn't have any feet at this point. So maybe she's got her foot up on a rock here or something. And we'll take a render shot of that. Yeah. And we'll go back to the front view, and I think that we'll call it an evening. I'll shoot this out to video, upload it to Google, and we'll call it an evening, and I hope you enjoyed the demonstration. Yeah, see, gotta fix these little problems in here, get that a little bit more natural looking. But again, this is my first basic model, my first armature experimentation. I think it looks pretty damn good myself for right now. Anyway, I will go back to the IDE, run this baby, bring us over by this nice warm fire. And leave it at that for now. So, on Until later. Later.